Hello, my friend. Welcome to Daily Faith. My name is Philip Cameron, and I am sure glad you are with us today. And folk along the connections will be joining us as we go along. If you can help us, one thing we always ask folk to do is to share the program. If you're watching this on social media, we learned something really interesting, that when you are on social media, depending on your content, they give you a code. And the code determines how many people get to see what you're talking about. And on Daily Faith, we talk about all kinds of stuff that could make folk upset that don't believe the way we believe. And we've learned that they can limit your output. And the only way we know how to get around that is by you sharing on your screen and hitting share with your friends. And that goes around the walls that they build. So if you could do that today, I'd appreciate it. Also, there's a wee bell on your screen. If you touch that bell, every time Daily Faith comes on, you'll be alerted that we're here. We have got an amazing program. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I'm 68 next week and a half from now. Send you all your cards and letters to Philip and but our mission work is going to continue after I'm here. And so I'm in this period of assessing things and working out the future of our ministry as far as our mission work. And I met an amazing man who founded a church, a crazy successful church in Cape Coral, Florida, called Cape Christian. And Dennis Gingerich gave this church away and has pastored as the founding pastor. And he has allowed other people to become the pastor of the church. And he has gone this journey through 3 separate pastors. The church is exploding. And we met a few weeks ago, and I learned so much about the transition between where you are. And if you love your pastor, contact them right now. This program is, I believe, is anointed for them. Because a church, I know so many churches. I've been traveling and ministering in churches in America for 54 years. Not hard to believe, over half a century. And I've watched some of the greatest churches, thousands of people, go into a transition to a new pastor and the church fall apart. How do we stop the church from suffering? And I believe that Dennis has got this answer for us, and he's going to be talking about it today. And I mean this. If you love your pastor, contact him right now and say, listen, check out Daily Faith. This is something we need to be talking about. It will bless you. So turn your notifications on, share the program, and we are going to have a great time today. I can't wait. I'm delighted you're here. Welcome to Daily Faith. Hey, I'm Philip Cameron, and welcome to Daily Faith. We have got a great program for you today. Don't you go anywhere. If you love your pastor, he needs to watch this program. We are going to be talking with Dennis Gingerich, who founded a fabulous church, one of the most successful churches in the country. And when he was still, in my books, a young man, God challenged him to begin the process of handing the church off to the next generation. And he has remained in this church, has had 3 pastors come, and he has gone through 3 different pastors as the church has continued to grow. And you're going to hear how the Lord has helped him to do this. And I believe that this is a key to the generational blessing of the church. The church has got to go past where it is today. If a church only stays as strong as the pastors is there, then it's built on a man and not on the anointing and the presence of God. And so we have got so much to learn on this. And I lunched with him a few weeks ago down in Cape Coral, and he set my hair on fire. I'm telling you now, just telling me what God showed him to do and how to do it. And I'm in that stage right now. I'm 68. In a few weeks, I'm going to be 68. 27th, mark in your calendars, 27th of April. Put it down there, and you can send me a wee card if you want. But I'm in that situation where my kids are coming in and they've been working with me for years now. And my son Andrew has just been in Turkey and Moldova. And so we're at that point now of letting them do more of the work than I am. So this subject really is close to my heart. And if you love your pastor, listen to me. You don't want your church to fail at this point. It's time to grow forward and not get to one point and then start going downhill. How many churches do you know that this has happened to? So you're going to love this program today. We just had some pictures sent. This will blow your mind. For those who watch Daily Faith, we do mission work in Eastern Europe. 24 years ago, I adopted a wee boy called Andrew in an orphanage, starving to death. I picked him up and I made this ridiculous promise. I'll never forget you. I'm coming back to get you. It took me a year to go back to get him out of that orphanage. But in the year that happened, the toilets, there were no toilets, so I was in toilets, no beds, I was in beds, I fixed the roof, I painted the place, and I fixed the whole place up and got addicted to caring for these kids. And God used that wee boy 34 years ago to change my life, change my ministry. It's incredible. So I love doing Daily Faith, I love traveling and preaching, but I love what I do in missions. And these kids that we've rescued, when a girl turns 16 in the orphanages over there, they give them a bus ticket to where they come from, the name on their birth certificate, and they put them on the streets, and traffickers get them, use them 30 to 50 times a day. One girl can make $300,000 a year for her trafficker. And these kids come to us, we put them back in school, share the gospel with them, and they have absolutely turned from orphans to sons and daughters, and from sons and daughters to missionaries. And for this last year, we've had a crazy year this last 12 months. Just over a year ago, you know what happened. Russia invaded Ukraine. We have a home in Ukraine, and we had to evacuate our girls from Ukraine back to Moldova, to our main place, which is Vatra village. It's a beautiful place with 6 houses, a gorgeous facility that we have there. And those girls, Ukrainian girls, are still there as we speak. But what happens is our kids are continually taking these trips up into Ukraine at tremendous risk. In fact, the other night, one of our young ladies, Catalina, called me in the middle of the night on FaceTime. And she says, "Dad, listen, listen." And she put our phone out the window of the house that we have, and they're staying there for the night. And you could hear the sirens going off in the distance because there was missile attacks. And here we had these kids in the middle of this war zone giving out some of the coats. Our minister's given over 15,000 coats away, plus thousands of blankets, and tons, hundreds of tons of food, all through the hands of orphans. And they just sent me some pictures. I don't know if they're showing them to you right now or not, but that is them 2 days ago in Odessa. I believe they were in 2 different cities. And that's our kids, orphan kids, giving out coats. And a very cold day in Odessa 2 days ago. And they just contacted me last night. I couldn't rest. And I says, whenever you get back into Moldova, through the border, call me and let me know you're safe. And so our kids, orphan kids, have become God's hand extended. And we are just so proud of them. And they are literally going into where bombs and bullets rain continuously, and it's just a miraculous thing. So that's one of the things we've been doing this last year. And then a few weeks ago, you know what happened in Turkey. There's the worst natural disaster that's ever happened. Took place in Turkey about a month ago now, and 50,000 people were killed instantly. And they've only managed to excavate about 20% of the buildings, and they found 50,000 bodies. This is a disaster beyond anything, and the news never talks about it. It blows my mind. And this pastor from Istanbul, his wife is Moldovan, watched us, what we've been doing in Ukraine, and she contacted us and says, "Can you please help us? We need tents and we need food." And we sent one of our teams, went from Moldova, got in one of our vans and drove from Moldova through Romania, Bulgaria, down to Istanbul, where they met my son Andrew, and then drove 10, 12 more hours down to where the earthquake was. And that's them loading up our van with care packages. One of those packages cost us $30. It's 40 pounds of food. And we got a phone call just the other day from this pastor. All the tents we bought these family tents that hold 8 people. And there they are. And all of those tents are full, and they need more tents. And they are starving. And I don't know how to say this nicely, but our concern is the Christian church in Turkey is not treated very well. That's all I can say. You know what I'm talking about. And we are working to get another, and my son's going back again to buy more tents and more food. So if you can help us, please make a difference in these folks' lives. In the middle of all this, a widow contacted us, and she says, my kids are freezing. Her husband's dead. She's got 4 kids. Her name is Radika. And in the middle of all the work they're doing in Turkey and Ukraine, our kids called and says, please, Dad, let us help. And they sent me this video of orphans changing a widow's life. Watch this.
Radika, the widow who lived in a house with walls and floors made from mud and dung, with the glass and the doors broken, and the frigid air that has no mercy for her young family. Existing there along with 4 kids whose future was being robbed every day by the awful grin of poverty. The orphan's hands is fighting bigger battles than what Radika faced individually. We continue to bring aid to the untold thousands of refugee families in Ukraine and those who are stranded in Moldova. Our plate is full, but when her plight was brought to us, we could not ignore her need and say we couldn't help. We know we must do something to alleviate the suffering of Radika and her 4 precious kids. In the past, we have repaired homes where families suffer by what we call a miraculous makeover. We decided to do the same for this broken family. It is a privilege to be part of such a miracle. Hands-on, our young men and women from Vatra village worked hard to give Radika and her family a place they can now call home. They got to let her know that she is loved by God and His people. We repaired her broken walls, filled the broken windows with new glass, and in only a few days, transformed her despair into joy. New beds, tables, chairs, rugs, a new sofa. We were able to bless them because you care and giving made it possible. We know God's heart will be moved by your sacrifice. We love your heart for others. Thank you.
It is amazing to watch orphan kids that have been rejected by everybody in their life. You're nothing, you're garbage. Nothing plus nothing will always be nothing. No one wants you. The workers in the orphanage, your father doesn't want you, your mother doesn't want you. And suddenly discover that God wants them and God needs them. And it is just an amazing thing. We need your help. We need your help. We are extended way beyond what a ministry of our size should be. We act like a big ministry, even though we're not. And we're believing God for these tents. One tent is costing us $620. One 40-pound box of food is costing us $30. And if you'd like to help us today, if you'd like to help us in Ukraine, any gift, if you earmark a gift, that money will go to that ministry that we're doing. And we just need you to help us. Our address is very simple. P.O. Box 25. The Orphan's Hands, P.O. Box 25, Clinton, Tennessee, 37716. And you can change someone's life. You can absolutely. These young folk need sponsors. We take them in from the orphanage. They've never seen a doctor, they've never been an eye doctor, never seen a dentist. We pay for their tuition in university. It costs about $3,000 a month for bus tickets to send them all over the city every day with a lunch, pocket money to buy their lunch. And we need folk just like you. If you're looking to invest money in the kingdom of God, where good soil will produce a harvest, this is good soil. And these kids that you're looking at in these videos are showing you, demonstrating the love of God in action. And your giving can help tremendously. And please feel free to, dailyfaith.tv is also another way you can help us. I am so excited to have my guest with me today. We went down to Cape Coral, Florida, one of the most gorgeous places in the world. I'm so jealous, it's not even funny. And we had a great lunch, and we went down to meet Corey, the pastor of the church. And this guy, Dennis, showed up, and I went, at the end of the lunch, I just wanted to talk to him because he founded this church many years ago and has handed it off to another pastor and has been there to support and gird up and strengthen 3 pastors in this church. It's an amazing church. Thousands of people attend to it. And I just wanted him to come on Daily Faith today and show us and help us understand the power of succession, how you can bless your next generation. And that is what Dennis, I believe, is going to share us. Dennis, it is great to be with you today. Thank you for joining us on Daily Faith.
It's good to be with you, Philip, and it was great to spend time with you and Andrew for lunch. And I thoroughly enjoyed learning about your ministry, and just seeing the videos and things you just showed is just touches my heart.
It's pretty cool.
Great to be.
God's looking for people that are available. That's the qualification He's looking for. It's your availability, and we sure are available. Please tell us, and I'm really fascinated about this. You started a church in Cape Coral, and when you were still what I would look at as a young man, God spoke to you about transition in the beginning of this process. Tell us how that developed in your spirit.
Well, how it developed was actually, I was 48 at the time when I read Bob Buford's book called Halftime. And it's really written to leaders, helping them move from success to significance. But for me, it touched me in a totally different way. I felt like I was living with significance in every way, but it helped me to think about my last half. And I have seen plenty of churches where the pastors stay on maybe too long, and the church hits a peak and starts on a decline, and sometimes they recover with new leadership, sometimes they don't. And I thought, what a shame to move here to Cape Coral, Florida in 1986. We moved here, launched the church on Easter Sunday of 87. So this past Sunday was our 36th anniversary as a church, but we moved here 37 years ago to lay the foundation. I said, what a shame to see one of my major life work. I had pastored 7 years previous to that, but to see my major life work decline if I was in my 70s, 80s and watching that happen, what would that feel like? And I knew that wouldn't feel good. So I was 48 at the time, started thinking about it. And actually by the age of 50, I found a book that I came across called The Elephant in the Boardroom, What No Church Ever Talks About. And that was about succession. And it stirred me in such a way. I bought it for all of our board members at the time and asked them to read it. And so it was a 5-year process. I had a young leader that was with me in his late 20s. And by the time I was 55, some people thought I was too young. When I was 55, I handed it off to him, who was 32. That was the age I was when I started the church. And I handed it off to him. And we were averaging about 1,000 in attendance on the weekends. And he said to me, he said, I'm not going to do this if you're going to leave. And I said, well, I really would love to stay. I'd love to be a part of it and not be in the lead seat, but help you, help it to be a success all the way through. This is my dream, my vision of staying. I think it can be done. He said, I think it can too. And so together we developed a process that was kind of an emergency thing in the beginning. What if something happened to me
Sure.
suddenly? The rest of it was really a long-term plan. And I began to fast forward in my mind, not was this church plant a success and everything going up and to the right when I'm in the lead seat, but how about 5 years after I'm out of the lead seat? Is it still happening? What would it take for that to happen? And that's the new measurement of success I looked at for a church plant, was not when I'm in the lead seat. What does it look like when I'm out of the lead seat 5 years from now? 14 years later, and it's an amazing success. So under that first leader, it went from a 1,000 average attendance on the weekends to 2,000 in the next 5 years. And then he went on to get, he stayed about 5.5 years in the lead role, total of about 12 years here in this. And then we had another pastor for 2 years, grew another 500. And now Pastor Corey's been here 5 years. And I mean, we regularly just hit over 4,000 on regular weekends. Last weekend we had 7,000 people here in our 7 services per weekend. And I get to be a part of it, but I don't have to leave it. And I just, intentional legacy leaving is really rewarding. It's got tests to it, but it's really rewarding to see it. Just there are a lot more rewards than tests, and so it's amazing.
You have 7 keys, and I have them here. Let's go through them quickly. We were 8 minutes left. Tell us the 7 keys that God gives you to have a successful succession.
Well, that first one really is just that intentional legacy leaving is rewarding. I just mentioned that. And I'd say the second one is that Jim Collins and John Maxwell taught me about leadership and the 5 levels of leadership. Level 5 leadership is where you serve others and you empower those under you, and you find ways to give away the credit and all of that. I'd just say that's the pinnacle of success, to be at a point where you don't need to get the credit anymore. It's not about you. It's about the other team. And then the other thing I've learned is that long-term successes really are superior to the short-term wins. I love that. The short-term wins are great, but now I can say 14 years later, after getting out of the lead seat, the long-term successes are far superior to those short-term. And then the other thing that really it struck me then, and I could say it in the beginning, but now I really know it, that the mission is bigger than me.
Sure.
The mission is bigger than me. I said it early, I meant it early, but now I can actually grasp it in its fullest. The mission is really bigger than me, and now there's really a movement that's been started here, and it's not about me, and it's awesome. Now, I can tell you the other side of this thing, why it's not done more often, is that maximizing your impact means you have to minimize your own ego. And I really believe that you can't; those two are mutually exclusively. You can't have them both strongly at the same time. And I think, though, what I've learned is your impact will soar upward if your ego will go downward. And
that is the truth.
The other thing I hear, Philip, is people say to me, well, I'm just not wired that way. I couldn't do that. It works for you, but I'm just not wired that way. I say I'm not either. I'm not wired that way. But I can make choices. I can make choices, and I can choose a bigger vision. And there are choices that I can make. And I just choose to be rewired by the Holy Spirit. That's what I choose. I choose to follow Philippians chapter 2. When verse 5 and following, where it says, he humbled himself. Jesus took on the form of a servant, and he humbled himself, and he didn't count it equality to be with God. And so I choose to humble myself. I choose to be a servant. I choose not to be offended if I'm not honored in the way that maybe my ego says I should be, or
you ought to be.
I can choose to kneel and wash the feet of others like Jesus did, and I can choose to leave a legacy. And I often say that the outer work is important, getting things set up in the proper way, and we changed our bylaws and all that kind of stuff. And that's the outward stuff that we did that so I would stay on the board. Beyond that, and there would be two pastors on the board, our lead pastor and myself. And I just got off the board for the first time just last in December. So I finally moved off to the board after 14 years. I'm no longer on the board, but I can choose to leave a legacy. I can choose those things, and I can choose humility. And ultimately, in that, I've chosen to leave a legacy. And then the last one. The last one I love, it's this, Philip, is my fruit tastes better on the trees of others. It's good to see my own fruit, but you know what? It's great. It's great to see my fruit on the growing on the trees of others.
Oh, my goodness.
And growing and doing well. I mean, that's a wonderful place to be.
Well, I listen, I'm exactly the same. When these kids send me these photographs, and I mean, the head girl, the leader in Moldova is a girl called Nadia. And I found her. She's her right hand has only got a thumb. She has no fingers. She was deformed when she was born. Told every day in the orphanage that you're nothing, you're garbage, you're a freak. And this girl has built Vatra Village, fought with builders. I mean, some of the most amazing stuff. And because I believed in her, she just didn't know any better than she could do it.
Yes.
And
that's good fruit when you see that growing like that, thriving.
The satisfaction that I get. And now my kids talk to them. They're within a few years of each other. So I'm watching the next generation downstream from me, and they make all these decisions, and they work together, and we're doing this, and we're coming back to get this done and stuff. And the fruit, their fruit, tastes better than me having to generate it when I watch it coming from them.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you. That day we spoke set in my mind a bunch of stuff, turning over, and you've really helped me. And I know that our pastors, I want you, if you're watching today, I want you to write this address down. It's www.successfulsuccessions. Great. successfulsuccessions.com. And you need to get in contact with Dennis, and he may have other materials that he can help you with. And this is so important. His personal website, if you want to get his personal website, is dennisgingerich.com. DennisGingerich.com.
And I talk a lot about succession on my personal website too. And in fact, fabulous. I put these 7 things on there. This morning they posted. For some reason I couldn't get them on the successfulsuccessions.com one, but they're available there. And that's a lot of leadership stuff that I'm learning as well.
And also, when you hand off to leadership, you have a photography hobby that's absolutely mind-blowing. And folk can look at your photography. You got to check this guy's photographs out, folks. It's www.gingrichphotoart.com. Gingerich Photo Art. My son Andrew loves photography. And he said to me, he says, Dad, you should see some of these photographs. So we've been looking at photographs before we came on today. And I just don't like talented people. That's all I got to say. It just drives me crazy when I see folk that are great pastors, know when to pass it on to someone else, and take the best photographs I've ever seen in my life. You're a blessed man, Dennis. Thank you so much for being on Daily Faith today.
Great to be with you.
I hope pastors grab what we've talked about, because it will give you blessing in your future. Thank you for being with us, Dennis.
Yes. You're most welcome.
Thank you for watching us. Listen, I need you to get in contact. If you love your pastor, get this information into his hands, because he can only grow and stretch, and the church can only fulfill his commitment and its challenge in the world we're living in. When we step from glory to glory, we're stepping on the shoulders of each other. We love you. Please pray about helping us in Ukraine and Turkey. We are in a great battle just now financially. Your giving can make a difference in our lives. Thank you again for watching Daily Faith. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
For over 25 years, the Cameron family has been changing the lives of orphans in Romania and Moldova. From providing running water, flushing toilets, and clean wells, to coal for heat, new windows, as well as food and clothing. They champion the physical needs of the orphans in these broken and desolate countries. Many of Moldova's orphans are saved from the horrors of trafficking through homes founded by the Camerons, and in the process, orphans become daughters and sons. They come to know their Heavenly Father and are forever changed by the love of Jesus. God help the Camerons lift these amazing young men and women out of darkness. Now, no longer orphans, they want to return and invade that very same darkness with the light of Jesus Christ. The Orphan's Hands equips these daughters and sons to become missionaries. Your monthly gift of $31 will allow us to rescue and take in more girls and boys, saving them from the hell of human trafficking. Your monthly partnership will allow us to care for those in the Orphan's Hands homes in Moldova and the Ukraine. If you want to join Philip and Chrissy in taking care of these precious young people, please contact us today by calling 833-DAILY-FAITH. You can also give by going online to www.dailyfaith.tv or by writing to Post Office Box 25, Clinton, Tennessee 37716. So many lives depend on what we do. Thank you for loving the lost.